I asked you guys to send in your designs, and you guys asked me to fix them. Let's do it. If you're new here, my name is Duran, and I've designed official merch for names like Nirvana, Metallica, 21 Savage, Olivia Rodrigo, and so on. Everything I've learned from those amazing opportunities, I want to pass on to you, and I do that through this YouTube channel, so click the subscribe button down there. Today, I'm not only critiquing, but I'm getting my hands dirty and fixing the designs that you guys sent in. As always, I want to preface with the fact that I'm not formally educated in design. I'm still learning every day. I'm really just some guy that's gone through like a billion Photoshop layers by now, and there's no one right answer to design. But I do have some professional experience under my belt, and I appreciate you guys trusting me with your work. Let's get into it. These are the two designs that I'm going to be working with today. Big thank you to Santi.usb and Tora.taha for sending these in. Really cool designs. We're going to take a closer look at these and find out what you did right and what I think you can improve on. I'm going to interrupt myself here really quick because I've got some great news for y'all. A lot of the designs that I see from y'all are really good and have great elements, but they're missing just one thing, and that is the framing of those elements to make that design feel cohesive. One of the easiest ways to do that is by using a frame. Sounds pretty obvious, but that's been like my secret weapon. So I created over 120 grungy frames for you guys to use in your artworks to bring it all together. It's an absolute lifesaver for merchandise designers, and it can work really well with mixed media art, posters, and so on. They're all made by hand and scanned in at a super high resolution. As a merch designer myself, I cannot live without things like this in my toolkit. These just dropped, and if you want to pick them up, you can use the discount code YouTube15 at checkout for 15% off. These are my grunge frames, and I'll have that link for you in the description. All right, let's check out design number one. The first one here is from Santi.usb. I love Sabrina Carpenter. I love this design. Right off the bat, I think the composition is great. I love the idea here. The concept is super sweet with her sitting on the earth. The blending is great. And I love that you included this diagonal splatter in the background. It helps give the design some movement. And I will say the layer setup is also very impressive. I too set up a lot of my designs like this, where I have the composition fleshed out on the bottom. On top of the composition, I have a group of effects and adjustments to give that composition a unified, stylistic feel. And then all the way at the tippy top, I have all my textures in a folder. This whole thing is very well organized, and I commend you for that. Now, one of the first things I notice about this is that there's a lot of negative space in areas where it doesn't help the design. For example, up here on the left, this space is creating a bit of tension, whereas symmetrically it's pretty full over on the opposite side. I think this big heart element is great, but it's a bit distracting at its current size and saturation. I think maybe just making it a little smaller or decreasing the saturation a bit will help balance off the left and right sides of this design. I love these Xerox effects you've got going on here, but it may just be a little bit too harsh or hardcore, especially for someone like Sabrina Carpenter. It makes the photo a little unflattering for this design specifically, and you generally want to make the subject look clean and flattering, especially for a pop artist like Sabrina. I would reserve the grunginess for someone with a grungier or more hardcore branding, or a man at least. Personally, I've been told specifically for women artists that I've done merch for to make sure that the photo is flattering and to not use super heavy grunge or effects that might do the opposite of that. So I think we could turn that down a bit, and in the same breath, I would just like to go for a less grungy attitude overall. Because for someone like Sabrina Carpenter, I think you'd probably want to lean more into their cutesy, lighthearted aesthetic. That's just the nature of their branding. So if say you were doing this as official merch, I know this is concept merch, but in the context of it being submitted officially, you do want to keep the artist's branding in mind. So regarding that, I would probably simplify the palette a bit and just go bolder with it. Maybe dumb it down to something like just the pink and baby blue. But I really do like the contrast here between the warm and the cool colors, so we're definitely going to keep that feel. I do think the red here is a nice touch, but I think for things like the text especially, I do want to make that pop a bit more as a saturated pink. Right now it has a really faded aesthetic. I also want to just tighten up the composition just a little bit. An easy way to do that would be, for example, to overlap the big title texture with the subject. So maybe I'll bring it down and have her head stick out over the top of the type. It would also be cool to add some dimension and interplay between some of the elements. This is a cool font up here for Sabrina, but I think it's maybe a little too stylized. and I honestly can't see this font without thinking of Stranger Things, unfortunately. So I would go for something a little bit more rounded and friendly. Now the Carpenter text down here, I think definitely gets lost in the design. It's just too thin and small compared to the massive Sabrina up on the top. And if you were to submit this as an official work, I think one of the first things they tell you is to make the artist's name clearer. So we definitely want to fix the hierarchy there by giving her last name just as much visual weight and clarity as her first name. All right, now let's make all those changes and see where the design ends up. First thing I'm doing here is stripping this of any texture and secondary elements to get a clearer view of the composition. I really want to make the earth pop a bit more, so I messed with some of the layers there to bring out that baby blue, and that'll help complement Sabrina's dress as well and the blue speckled background. Here is where I start stripping that Xerox effect off of Sabrina. I love Xerox, of course, and he actually used my Xerox action, so shout out to the artist Santi.usb. I just don't think it fits well for Sabrina merch in specific and for this photo. You know, you don't want Sabrina to look too hardcore or dark. You always want to make sure, again, that the subject is clear and flattering, especially if it's a woman artist who's, more in the pop arena. So I'm cleaning that up a bit, and I noticed you've got a threshold going on top of the whole design set to multiply, which is great. That's a technique that I use all the time. But I would recommend pairing that with some sort of dither pattern under it and set that to overlay. The reason for that being is if you don't have some sort of a dither like noise or halftone pattern under it, you get these kind of inconsistent edges and odd looking shapes, versus when you use something like noise to add a bit of dithering, you get these more consistent shadows. And this also helps to bring back a bit of that Xerox effect for some stylization, but it's nothing too heavy. I do have a full tutorial on a live Xerox effect on my channel if you want to check that out. And I'm just cleaning up that adjustments group to lock in a more cohesive color scheme. I added a bit of pinkish magenta tone and brightened up the midtones using selective color, which is one of my favorite adjustment layers. For something like this, I would also consider maybe using a gradient map and setting it to something like soft light or overlay at 30% opacity. Selective color worked just fine here. Then let's bring back these elements. So I simplified the layer style quite a bit on the big Sabrina text, and I changed the font to something more round and friendly. And I really like this one called Etna Condensed. I'm sure there were other options that would have worked well also, but I kind of landed on this one, and it's like sometimes you just land on a font and that's the one you got to go with. It's like chosen by the Photoshop gods. I did the same thing for the Carpenter text down there, except I changed the font to Sweet Fancy Script, which I thought was a much more legible script font and fit the playful bill a bit better. And I also made it way bigger to give it equal weight with her first name, which is very important. I brought back the heart, the lips, and the little short and sweet script text, and I made them all this baby pink to match with the big text some more. And I'm not sure if I regret that or not. I did like the color variation we had on the original with the red on the heart and such, but with the more saturated pink on this one, I thought the saturated red didn't really work too much as a compliment, but maybe we'll come back to it. I don't know. And I also changed that little short and sweet text to the Sweet Fancy Script font. Then I'm just doing some final adjustments to tie up any loose ends. Okay, and here is my final version of the Sabrina Carpenter design. I wanted to keep the original design elements and composition intact, but switch up the design language a bit to make it more on brand for Sabrina. And I wanted to tighten up the composition and color palette as well to make some of those elements both interplay with and balance each other out while also being bold enough to sort of stand out on their own. And I also couldn't decide between keeping that heart the original reddish color or that pink color that we were messing with. So here's both of them. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Here is what the design looked like originally. Great design by Santi.usb. And again, here is how I approached his design. Let me know in the comments if you agree with the decisions that I made or if you disagree. Personally, I think both are very strong. I love the faded and grungy feel on Santi's original design. My main gripe with it was that it did not feel on brand for Sabrina. But he did a great job with the composition and the color scheme, and I give him major props. If Sabrina Carpenter did happen to be a grungy artist, the only thing I would fix on that design would be the little Carpenter text down at the bottom. I thought that was just getting lost in the sauce there, and you do want to give the first and last name of an artist equal weight visually. But yeah, great design by Santi.usb. Again, let me know in the comments what you think. Moving on to design number 2. This one is from Tora.Taha. Really cool stuff here, and if I'm not mistaken, this is partially inspired by my Eagles design or my Chris Stapleton design. Let me know if I'm right. In any any case, this is a really skillful composition. I love the subject matter. I'm a sucker for Western aesthetics, and one of these days I'm going to play Red Dead Redemption. I've heard such great things, but first I'll have to be released from the shackles of Photoshop. The hierarchy in this type lockup it's awesome. I really love the use of the drop caps and the small caps here, and it plays very nice with the contour of the circle frame below. Speaking of frames, don't forget that I just dropped my Grunge Frames kit, which has over 120 grungy frames for you guys to use in your designs. Enough of that. The color scheme here is gorgeous. I love warm colors like this, especially with a dark brown color tee. It sets a nice sunset-like scene here, and you did a great job contrasting that warmth as well with the slight cooler color down here on the horse. The subject breaking out of the frame at the bottom here really helps this composition feel more immersive, so that's really good stuff. One of the first things I noticed though is that the subject is getting very lost in the background, and it's really hard to discern where the subject ends and where the background starts. There needs to be a clear separation between the two, and the best way to do that is by contrasting the lightness and the hue of the colors between the subject and the background. I also want to show some more love to this horse here because he's really dark and it's hard to kind of make him out, and I love my horsies. Wild horses. There's also a perspective issue between the subject and the background. Take a look at where the horse is compared to the ground. The perspectives are just clashing a bit. I think the background needs to be shifted downwards to account for the perspective of the subject matter, and that's going to help it look more realistic as well and create a more immersive, believable scene. I also think there's a bit of a missed opportunity to play with the lighting here. It'd be really cool if the lamp visibly casted highlights onto the surrounding scenery. I love the type here, but it does feel like more of an afterthought being all the way up there. It's just a bit too isolated in my opinion. The layer style is also a bit overpowering and sort of obscuring the forms of the letters, making it hard to read, especially the smaller type up here. I would go simpler, bigger, and bolder with this, but I'm not touching the font at all. I love this font. Okay, now let's get our hands dirty with these layers. It looks like this design was made in my VinTone Photoshop template, which is awesome specifically for this style of merchandise design. If you're unfamiliar, it basically allows you to get a live Xerox or halftone look on your designs while you composite, and then you're able to color that in sort of like a coloring book, and the coloring is also fully dithered, so this makes the whole thing fully screen print ready, and the result is a fun vintage inspired design. But I don't want to harp too much on this. If you're interested in the VinTone template, you can check out all my videos on VinTone. Let's start working on this design. First, I'm going to remove the texture and such to get a clear view on the design and the composition. And the actual first thing I'm going to do is move the background down to fix the perspective issue between the horse and the ground. And I'm also going to turn the color off as well to get a clearer view of this raw composite over here. I had to replace the subject photo here with a higher quality version of that same photo. Little lesson for y'all. You always want to make sure that the photos you use are the highest quality you can get to get all the detail possible. So if you find a photo you like, there may be a higher quality version of it on the web somewhere, and you could find that potentially by reverse image searching that image. So that's how I found the higher quality version for this image. So then I'm just fitting it into the composition with a better mask on the subject, and I use the shadows and highlights adjustment to bring out more details in the shadows since the photo is very dark, and I do some masking with levels as well just to get the light and shadow in the specific areas that I want it. And this is all just to help bring out more detail in the subject and create a bit of separation. Here I'm working on that circular frame just a bit to make it more full in the composition. I'm just fixing the gradient and the layer mask a bit. Then I move on to the text, and I love the font, so that's staying. But like I said, the layer style is overpowering, so I'm just going to take away the effects here, and I'm going to make that a little thicker just using a stroke. I'm going to bring the text downwards to remove some of that negative space and create a tighter composition. I also add a drop shadow and erase some parts of the circle frame below the text to make way for it so the elements aren't clashing too much. Then I want to show it a little love and make it more interesting using a slight gradient layer style. Now the composite here is pretty solid, so we're going to move on to the coloring process, which is the second step step of using my Vintone template. First you composite and then you color. So here I'm going to color block the composition with pretty broad strokes, sort of just blocking out major elements with a base color. And I use layer masks and the brush tool for this. I'm going to contrast the subjects using a deep red on the man compared to a muted brown for the horse. For the background, I use a muted brown as well for the ground and a really faded dark turquoise for the sky. And already this helps a ton to create contrast and separation between the subject and the background. And because of the color and light contrast, we're able to instantly delineate where the cowboy starts and ends relative to the horse and how distant he is from the backing ground and the sky. We're pretty much painting an atmospheric scene here. Just like in photography, we want our subject to stand out from the background. So the color here is what's going to really help us to do that. I add that deep red on the circle frame as well to kind of bring it all together with a little yin and yang, or a color sandwich, if you will. Overall, it's still pretty flat. So here's when I start adding some highlights. And I do this using the original image, which is a really cool feature of Vintone. You can drag an image into one of the color groups and use levels on it to sort of map that color to a certain luminosity range of that image, which sounds a lot more complex than it is. All you're really doing is copying a layer into a group. But that automatically creates that highlighted look and grants a lot of depth to the subject. I thought a mustard yellow for those highlights was a really nice complement to the other colors, but then I also doubled up on those highlights and repeated that technique, but with a bit of a lower level of light on that original image. And that sort of isolated the really bright specular highlights. And that was really cool because it gave that feeling that the lamp was actually lighting up the objects around it with that harsh, bright light. Then I finally block out the text with that same deep red. And then I thought it'd be interesting to go in and add some specular highlights on the edges of the type as well to make it feel 3D and more immersed in the scene. So here I'm painting that in around the edges. And finally, I top it off with some of my worn plastisol textures to really dial in that vintage t-shirt aesthetic. And boom, here is my final version of this Red Dead Redemption design. The elements in the original were all really strong, so I didn't want to take away or remove anything. Above all, I just really thought the design could benefit from a clear separation of the subject versus the background. I also wanted to make the scene and atmosphere of the design a lot more immersive, and I think we did that by fixing the perspective issues and again contrasting the subject and the background, which added a lot of depth. And I tweaked the lighting here a bit so that the lamp casts a visible highlight onto the contours of the man holding it and the horse he's on, and even the text up here. I really love the sense of immersion that brought out into the design. Here is the original design made by Tora.taha on Instagram. Again, awesome design and great work by him. And here is my version of that design. What do you guys think? Did I make it? Or did I break it? Please let me know down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this video and I love doing this series. I plan to do more critique videos just like this, but if you like the series, please let me know by liking this video and commenting down below, and I'll be sure to make these more often. If you are a graphic designer, I recommend you hit that subscribe button because I post videos like this all the time to help you become a better designer. If you are not a graphic designer, I don't know what you're doing here, but I appreciate you. Anyway, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out.